There will be spoilers for Kamen Revice in this episode. Kamen Revice is the third season in the Revice era, and it served to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Kamen franchise. It follows the Igarashi siblings and their demons finding the resurrection of a very powerful devil known as Gif. So let's talk about the siblings. Iki is a very solid protagonist. From his good boy nature, trying to help anyone no matter what, and the idea that in the beginning of the show he was resenting to be a rider, but as the show goes on, even if he knows that each and every time he transforms he loses his memories of his family, he still goes on and fight. And also his relationship with Vice, demon that's his manifestation of his doubt and turmoil, but slowly accepting Vice as a partner. And in the end of the series, Iki sees Vice as much as family as his siblings and his mom and dad. Biggest problem with Iki is he kind of stepped into the background after he gets Volcano. And from time to time he does get an episode for himself, but it's not enough. Specifically when we learn about Iki's memory loss, the show doesn't pay attention to it enough. And when the season is almost over, they really rushed it, from one episode forgetting his parents, and the next episode he straight up forgets about his siblings. How much this is not the main story of Iki, it should have stayed in the show for a longer amount of time for us to actually resonate with it. To be completely honest, he is still the best protagonist that we had in the last 3 years. Now let's talk about Iki's partner slash devil, Vice. At first glance he is the usual mascot character, mischievous, want to do everything on his own. But slowly he opens up not only to Iki but to the Igarashis. He gets development more and more when he and Iki, let's say, switch places. When they get jacked Revice, he runs away to protect Iki. He really does care about Iki living the best life for him and his family, and if that means sacrificing himself, it's fine. That fight in the final episode didn't need to be big and grandiose and epic, because it's not. It's actually like two siblings fighting with each other, and that fight a lot more feeling than just them punching each other until Vice disappears. How much his voice actor is, but I really felt for Vice. Vice was a great character. Now let's talk about the middle child and our secondary rider, Daiji, and his demon Kagero. Out of the 3 siblings, he's my least favorite. Daiji in the beginning was really interesting, from him being the original candidate for the Revice driver. But something happens to him that made him incapable to transform. But when Kagero took the spotlight, he was really fun. But the biggest problem, everything kind of went downhill since Daiji transforms into Live. Daiji pretty much started to be a background player, and they didn't do the one thing that the driver does, and that's flip-flop between Daiji and Kagero. Daiji and Kagero were needed to fight each other for whoever gained prominence in this world or over Daiji's body. The fight didn't had any feel to it, it didn't have any weight, because after Daiji turned into Live, we barely saw Kagero. But with Kagero's absence, there was an idea of a great story of Daiji really seeing just the white without the black. He needed a balance. And when they brought back Kagero, it didn't felt as weighted as the show really wanted us to feel. It's like way more, oh my god, Kagero is coming back. It's like, oh, Kagero's back. See the difference? Now let's talk about the youngest out of the 3 siblings, Sakura and her demon love cult. In my opinion, Sakura is a big breath of fresh air in the Kamen Rider franchise. She is one of the most developed characters in Revice, And in my opinion, she's the best female writer that we had, not only in years, but ever. I love the idea that her first transformation failed because she didn't confront her demon. That's the embodiment of her insecurities, of being weak. Making her weakness her source of power is really cool. And the idea that Loveco is the strongest demon out of the 3 siblings of demons is really cool. Also, she had a great rivalry with Aguilera that ended Aguilera turning into Hana, and she and Sakura pretty much becoming best friends, or at least sisterly, because this ain't a V cinema. We can't do the gay stuff. That in the end was really cute. I like that she and Iki are the only writers that actually got to separate a dead man from his demon. Daiji never did that. Think about it. And hey, finally we got a female writer getting a final form that actually helps and not debuts, loses, and we never hear about it again. I'm just saying how much they kind of did pull that form out of their ass, and they weirdly needed to redo the same lesson that Sakura already learned. But I would take everything over nothing. Now let's talk about the 2 elders of the family, Genta / Junpei, his demon Veil, and Yukimi. Most of Genta's story is in the Veil special, but I did see it. And here's the thing, you can see a lot of the kids' personality through their parents. Genta, in my opinion, is one of the more interesting characters in the story, being pretty much the origin point for the 3 siblings to getting their demons, having Veil to be the reason why Junpei fight for revenge for killing his parents. Junpei's sacrifice, pretty much losing his memories in his fight against Veil. It's almost like a foreshadowing what we had between Iki and Vice. And the debut of Deathstream and Crimson Veil, that fight was everything that I think a lot of people wanted the Vice and Iki fight would be. But that makes more sense for these 2 characters than Iki and Vice. Even when Genta got his memories back when he was Junpei, he didn't resent his family. He loved his kids. He loves his wife. He loves the new life that he pretty much have. I think from the entirety of the Veil special, Yukimi kind of really came out not that great. Because if you really think about it, Yukimi pretty much gaslighted Junpei to marry her pretty much. After she met him maybe for around 48 hours, she fell in love with him. She gave him the same name that her dog had. So yeah, I don't really know about young Yukimi. You can actually see that she is really in love with him in the end. You can see there is actual love between them, specifically in the dinner scene between Genta and Yukimi before the Deathstream debut. Veil is pretty much the prototypical evil demon, has this revenge story with Genta, but he is not really that much of a character. He's way more of a plot device, specifically surrounding the mystery of the demon's driver. And it's really cool because we don't really see a lot of intrigue about drivers anymore. Now, let's talk about everybody's favorite boy, Hiromi, my favorite character in the entire show. In my opinion, he represents a modern evolution of a Showa protagonist. For how simple he is, but you can still see his growth from his loyalty to Phoenix from the first arc. And when he discovered that he was lied to by the person that he looked up the most, and also became a lab rat to George, he decides to leave Phoenix. Yeah, in my opinion, he had too many near-death experiences, but he still wanted to do good no matter what. The entire reason for him to join Phoenix because he wanted to be a hero because of his dad. And when he left Phoenix, when he left pretty much his friends after he fell off a cliff, he returned to them because his mom told him that he can be a hero. no matter what. I can talk about Hiromi for hours, but I'm trying to keep it as short as possible. Now let's talk about everybody's favorite Kamen Rider fanboy, George. He's the creator of most of the drivers in the show. He's absolutely the most charismatic person in the show. But he has from time to time some violent tendency, mainly because of his strained relationship with his dad. They both have a completely different ideas of how to handle the fate of Gifu. And their relationship goes even worse when he discovered that his dad put his demon inside of him. And that revelation grows George to not talk to his dad anymore when he was on his deathbed. And kind of because of that, he decided to make the Juga driver, and he fought the Igarashi as pretty much as a form of grief over his dad's death. He presented himself as a grand savior for this world, as a rider that doesn't need to use a demon, and he lashed out at everybody that care about him. But when Iki and Vice stomps him, George breaks down. And yes, how much George can't forgive his dad for the bad stuff that he done to him, he and his dad still had great memories together. That entire arc was about escapism, and how much escapism from time to time can hurt you a lot more than help you. Now let's quickly glance over Hikaru. He's the first user of the Overdemon's driver slash suit. He's a fine character. In the beginning of the show, he was actually quite intriguing. The idea of what's the deal with him and his family, and the idea of him being a part of not only the weekend, but his family is not his real family, is cool. And then he just decides that he wants to be a Kamen Rider, and he just becomes one. Yeah, he had a really cool moment when he used all 5 Genomexes, but it never had the same weight if they would have built it up more. I would have legitimately off his parents first and then make him want to be a Kamen Rider. So now, let's talk about actually our original trio of villain, the Deadman. Let's talk about Tamaki, formerly known as Julio, the second user of Overdemons. From the 3 Deadmans, he's my favorite character. He represents how much the normal person that just got into it, not because he was bad, because he pretty much felt betrayed. When we learned his backstory of being bullied in high school, and the only person that he thought was his best friend betrayed him, and him not knowing how much his friend betrayed him to protect him, was actually extremely sad to hear. And his reasoning to stick to Aguilera because at his lowest point she comforted him, and he stuck to her until the damn end. And that moment when Tamaki and his friend are having this conversation with each other, and swiftly Ortega just shows up and he stabs him with the gift stamp, and pretty much his friend dies, and Julio goes on a damn rampage until Revice and Vice separate him from his demon. Aguilera comes in and he starts breaking down. This episode is still one of my favorite of this entire season. I don't remember the last time that I actually kind of got teared up from an episode of Kamen Rider. After that episode, Tamaki kind of went to the background, and it's fine because he got his development. To tell the truth, he should have been the original user of Overdemons. He had way more of a drive to be a rider for the specific reason of him wanting to atone to his sins. Now let's talk about Oteka, the second user of the Demon's Driver and the best villain of the show. The idea that he started the show as just the second general, basically the pretty boy general, but when he stated to Aguilera that she's also a sacrifice, that was pretty much a planting of a seed that he knows more than everyone. When the Deadman base basically got destroyed and the other pretty much useless Deadman got destroyed, aka the Piranha Deadman and the Chameleon Deadman, Ortega pretty much became the main villain. and we stepped away from forming contract with demons to the demon observing the human, killing them in the process with the introduction of the Giftarians. And Ortega never cared about the followers, he cared about creating a world in his own image. And even when Ortega and his demon got separated, something new happened. He pretty much became the main user of the demon's driver. From him, we learned that Akaishi is the creator of the Deadman group. And one of the coolest things about Ortega, how much do we know about him? We know his name, we know a little bit of part of his backstory, but nothing else really. And that's really cool. Let's talk about Hana, formerly known as Aguilera. She was a fun and intriguing character. Her being raised by the Deadman and being told pretty much her entire life that she would be Gift's bride. When she understands that it was all a lie, she builds a resentment towards the Deadman. She pretty much becomes an anti-hero that fights in her monster form. This is the place where she and Sakura really picked up their rivalry. That ended with Sakura and now Hana being best friends. Yeah, she did become Kamen Aguilera, and how much I'm not fully into using her old name when she was a part of the Deadman, and the suit really screamed Phoenix Soldier than something that the Weeknd make. It's still something. Now let's talk about our two pretty much final villains, Akaishi and Gift. Akaishi was legitimately fun. He was overacting, but it was done tastefully. We don't have a lot of character progression with him. The only thing that we know of him is that he created Phoenix and the Deadman, and he was the first of the two people that contracted with Gifu to pretty much watch over humanity. So this is what I really have to say about Akaishi. Let's talk about Gifu. Big ol' Coffin Man is very disappointing. Him being able to talk but just refusing to talk the entire season is kind of a problem for me. And when it does come to a point when he talks about how much he wants family, and it's kind of weird, I don't know. So yeah, this is what I really think about it. Here's the thing, I haven't talked about George's dad or the Weeknd family or Busan. They're side characters. They're not that important to talk about in that big of a length, but all of them were fine side characters. Here's the thing, how much the last arc really fumbled a lot. They stuck the landing in the finale because they understood that the best part about Kamen Rider Revice is everything involving with the Igarashis. That's it. The show was flawed, the show wasn't perfect, but it's still one of the damn best rider shows that we got in pretty much the last 3 years. We got great suit design, we got bad suit design, we had absolutely banger of themes, if it's the opening or the inserts theme or the movie themes. I'm very happy that Revice really rejuvenated my love for this franchise again. Thank you, Revice. See you later. Now it's our time to start a new game. Yeah, thank you very much for listening to this long-winded video. I hope you enjoyed it. Would really appreciate you to subscribe, like, comment. Tell me what you thought about Revice. So yeah, thank you very much. Have a nice day. Ready?
New Age of Heroes.